So just a couple of little things about Tai Chi, and I think I'll start off doing a demonstration. I don't know if anyone's ever done Tai Chi before. You have, so a couple people have, there are lots of different forms, in fact. So what we're going to be doing, the form or the practice or style that we're going to be doing is called Tai Chi Fundamentals. And it was created by Trisha Yu. And it was modified from the Yang style short form, which I've been practicing for over 30 years. So what I love about this form is while the movements are modified, none of the benefits are watered down or modified. The benefits are all the same. And so that's why it's such a fabulous format for this kind of environment. It takes less time to learn. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate so you know what we're going to be doing. And I might adjust the screen a little bit so you can see me better. And again, I don't know how familiar you all are with Zoom, but I think it's on the upper right corner. If you have speaker view, then I'm the largest image. If you have gallery view selected, then we're all the same size. I'll turn around so I can face you so you can see what I'm doing. So we will have to, I'm just given the Zoom format, we will be changing direction periodically during the form so that you can see better. Okay, so we won't get through all of that in one class. Just periodically we'll go through various parts of that form. We're going to start off with some relaxation and breathing exercises just to kind of settle, a few warm-ups, and then we'll actually work on the form. So the form itself consists of postures and transitions. So I'll talk about all of that as I go through. I do a lot of repetition. So for some of you, it's a lot of new information, but we take it nice and slow. And so this form and this teaching tradition that I come from has always emphasized the health benefits, even though Tai Chi is actually a martial art. But as a martial art, it does not depend on strength. It depends on sensitivity and timing. We focus a lot on postural alignment. That's why it's so good for balance. So we're just going to start off a little vocabulary lesson here. So there's what's called a basic stance, or it's called a Wu Chi posture. And or some people call it a horse stance. So when we stand with our feet parallel and hip width distance. You want the center of the foot, the knees, and the hips lined up. Now I know not everyone's legs are perfectly parallel. Some people are naturally a little knock-kneed. Some people, their knees roll out. That's okay. Just set the feet so that they're parallel and approximately hip width distance. What that does is that sets up the SI joints and the hip joints to be in a neutral position for a transfer of weight, and so that you don't have tension and things don't get locked up. So From that basic stance, just going to place the hands on the lower abdomen. Don't let the elbows collapse into the body. Just relax here. We're going to take a few moments to just kind of settle the breath, just breathing naturally. Settle your mind and just settle your body. You want your feet to be relaxed, fully adhering to the floor, and imagine a connection to the earth itself, deep into the earth through the center of the bottom of the foot. It's called the bubbling well, or the Chinese call it the yung chuan, and it's behind the ball of the foot and between the heel, right about where the arch is. And allow your attention to be more internal. Just pay attention to your rhythm of breathing and the movement of your lungs. Now, without changing your breathing, try to maintain that relaxed breathing. Let your arms feel heavy by your sides. Slowly, nice and slow, swinging the arms from the shoulders. This basic movement is called heavy arms or arm swinging. So we're just doing a simple movement while we're also paying attention to the breathing and trying to stay relaxed. Very important that this movement comes from the shoulders. The elbows can bend. I like to use the image of a swing on a swing set, pulling the swing forward and just letting it gently swing of its own accord. This exercise can also be very good if you have a frozen shoulder, because your movement can be very small. Again, if you have any kind of shoulder restrictions or if you've had shoulder surgery, this can be a very small movement. As long as there's movement in the shoulders, you're good. Okay, so the next movement is called crane takes flight. And in this one, we're just going to be bending the knees and hips and coming back to neutral position. So we're getting a little flexibility in the hips, okay? Very important to keep the body upright. So you want to bend the knees a little bit and bend the hips as though you were going to sit down. Only typically when you sit down in a chair, you bend forward. Tai Chi, we need the body upright for balance and stability. So just a little fold. In fact, you may want to do one or two with a hand in front and a hand in the back, just to see if you start to lean. I will often, because my lower back is very tight, I will often have my hands here, especially if it's my first form of the day and I'm warming up. Okay, and the arm movement that coordinates with that is the palms face each other. We bend the knees and hips just a little bit and breathe in. Elbows feel heavy, the wrists rise no higher than the shoulders. Remember, this is called crane takes flight. That's a nice image for the arms. And inhale. And exhale, and breathing in and out. And we'll just do one more. Belly relaxed, breath relaxed, okay? Now stay down there, and from this position where the knees and hips are bent slightly and the forearm is parallel with the floor, we're going to practice shifting the weight. So, and keeping the body upright and staying relaxed. So bending the knees and hips, slowly sink into the center of one foot and then slowly sink into the center of the other foot. So you want to have an internal image of the weight like a slinking, dropping into the earth through one foot and dropping there. Again, it keeps the center of gravity low. It works the quads. I mean, Tai Chi is a beautiful, slow moving exercise, but it can be a very good workout for the legs. The idea also is to keep the hips level and parallel with the floor. So you don't want to shift the weight by going side to side, because again, that creates tension in the lower back, and you don't want to shift by leaning the upper body. So this is the type of movement we're trying to cultivate. Okay, and the next movement, the arms are in this position. It's called stable and open, which is the foot movement, and then gathering the stars. We're just going to do the foot movement first. So this builds on what we've already done. We bend the knees and hips, shift into one leg. Okay, we're not going to do the arms stay in this position. Turn out on the unweighted leg. Just a little bit, not a range of motion exercise. And then turn back so the feet are parallel again. And then sink into the other foot and turn the hips just slightly, turning the toes out a little bit, and then the waist turn, bringing them back. So we want to cultivate the feeling that the waist is the commander. The waist turn generates the movement of the hands and the feet. Okay, come back to center. What the arms do in this exercise is they simply open as you inhale and close as you exhale. So the fingertips are brushing the air. And again, not a range of motion movement. So we don't want to be pulling back here. We want the arms out here. So if you're standing in the middle of the face of a clock, maybe the arms are like at 10 and 2. Okay, and now we'll coordinate. We're going to bend the knees and hips, shift into the leg, turning the waist, and the waist turn causes the arms to open and the toes to turn out slightly. And then we turn to the front, and the waist turn causes the arms to close and the feet become parallel. We shift the weight first, and then we turn the waist, breathing in, the arms open, the toes go out, and breathing out. Shift the weight, turn the waist, breathing in, the arms open, the toes go out, and turn back. Sorry about that. I thought I had silenced my phone. And breathing in and out, and inhale and exhale. Okay, so the last movement pattern, in this part, we're just going to do the basic movement patterns part 1, because the basic movement patterns part 1 parallel the very first section of the form, and that's all we're going to work on today. So this last movement, I'll do it facing you, and then I'll turn around because it's left-sided and right-sided, and I think it can be, well, I'll do the mirror image. How about that? So with the feet parallel, again, this is our basic stance. We start from here. So I'm going to do the mirror image. So you're going to bend your knees and hips, shift into the right foot. Turn the waist to the left, turn the left toes out just a little bit. Now we're going to bend the knees and hips, drop into the left foot, and you want to have the hips facing front. If you've turned those toes out too far, you're not going to be able to face front without pulling on your knee. So we really need to protect the knees. So that's why you just turn out a little bit, face front, keep the weight on that left leg. Now look at your right foot. You're going to go as though that right foot is on a railroad track. You're just going to take a little step out. You're not going to put weight in that foot, or not much weight in that foot yet. And now we're going to bend the knees and hips and shift down into the center of the front foot. And then we're going to shift down into the center of the rear foot. Very important to keep the knee of the front leg pointed straight ahead, lined up with the toes. Okay? So we're just going to shift the weight. I'm going to turn sideways briefly so you can see that I am, with both hip joints bent, I keep my body upright. So again, what you want to avoid, you don't want to push off the rear foot so that you're leaning, because then the weight goes to the balls of your feet. Okay, if you don't bend the front hip joint, then you lean back. You want to be upright. So just a little bend in the hip joints, just an exchange of weight, keeping the body upright. Now the arm movement associated with this is the wrist. As you drop into the front foot, the wrists rise, shoulder high, shoulder width, elbows feel nice and heavy. And then as you shift into the rear foot, the arms come back by your sides. So you breathe in as the wrists rise, and then you breathe out as you sink into the rear foot. Inhale and exhale. And you want the head to feel light, floating up, and the feet to feel really rooted, connected to the earth. Okay, so the next time you're on the left foot, stay there. Bring the right foot straight back so that you maintain your hip width distance. And shift the weight. We're going to go back to the basic stance and just to the other side. So now you're going to bend the knees and hips, shift into the left foot. Turn to the right, turn the right toes out slightly, all the way into the right foot. And again, keeping that distance between the feet, very important. Step straight out. So you do not want to have a narrow stance. You can use your screen to double check that, or you can just look down. And again, bending both hips, breathing in and out. So it doesn't matter which leg has most of the weight. Both feet remain flat on the floor, and the weight remains evenly distributed. Nice, slow, even movements, and slow, even movement of breath. And then shift into the rear foot and stay there. Bring the front foot straight back and back to that basic stance. Okay, so let's just take a very short break. Just walk around a little bit. If you have water handy, go ahead and take a sip. And let me know if you have any questions about what we just did. Okay. And I'm going to check again to make sure my phone is turned off. Okay. All right. So what we've been working on in those basic movement patterns are not just the physical movements of the form, because if you recall when I did the form, the first section was just this part, just these first few movements, which we did on both sides. And this is what we're going to work on today. And these are all the movements from the waist down. The arms do different things, but the legs, all the same movement. Now we're in that 70-30 posture. We're shifting the weight. The movement of the waist directs the movement of the hands and the feet. Okay? But we've also been working on the principles of movement. And I'll talk about this a lot as we do Tai Chi. They are relaxed, keeping the body, the mind, the breath, everything relaxed, because if the body and the mind are not relaxed, they can't function properly. We know that if we're worried about something, or something is on our mind, we can't focus on the present. We can't function properly. The body's the same way. If there's tension in the hip or the lower back, it doesn't operate the way it's meant to. So relaxing, keeping the body upright, okay, so that's that nose-navel alignment, not twisting the body, not leaning, okay, separating the weight, and we practice separating the weight, and we practice waist as the commander, the waist turn, moving the hands and feet. And now when we get into the form work, there's another principle, a fifth principle, and this is all part of the Yang style, where we generally keep the wrist straight. We have this opening movement where the wrist bends slightly, and after that, we have these straight wrists. Okay, so this teaching lineage goes back to a Tai Chi master who was also a physician, and he wanted the joints open to not have tension in the joints and to allow for the flow of Qi. Okay, so we're just going to work on the first few movements together. And we're going to start from what's called point. So when we're in point, our feet are in a small V. The heels don't touch. And I'm going to be doing the mirror image and talking you through this. So from point, when we're in point, just let the arms relax down by the sides. Remember, we don't want to lock any of the joints. So the knees are not locked. Knees are relaxed. In fact, I'm going to have you do this. Put a hand on the lower abdomen, another hand across from it, in point. Go ahead and lock your knees and feel what happens to your pelvis. Lock your knees, you have all this tension in the lower back, and you're pitched forward. And if you just release the knees, the tailbone drops down, and this whole area remains relaxed and open. So that's why we don't lock the joints. So imagine that your head is floating up, suspended from the crown. The feet are firmly rooted to the earth. And we begin by bending the knees and hips, shifting down into the right foot. Now we're going to get into that basic stance. So step with the left foot to the left, the toes point straight ahead. Shift into the left and let your hips line up with the right foot. So since most of the weight is off of the right foot, when you turn to the front, it moves easily to get your feet parallel. Shift to the middle, and as you stand, just don't lock the knees. And the arms change very subtly. So check your feet, make sure that they are hip-width distance, the toes pointing straight ahead. And I'll get a little closer. The arms just went from this to this. So the arms moved away from the body, palms turn towards the back, and the elbows bend slightly. So the upper arm is even with the torso, and the elbows bent a little bit. Really need to keep that neck and shoulder relaxed. Okay, let's do that again from point. And take a moment to settle. Pay attention to your rhythm of breathing. Be aware of your posture, body upright. We want the head suspended upright, and imagine your spine just hanging from the top of your head and that the tailbone has a little bit of weight. And begin bending the knees and hips, shift into the right foot, step out with the left foot, the toes point straight ahead, shift into the left foot, let the hips line up with the right foot, turn the waist, shift to the middle, and as you rise, the arms change into the Wuchi position. Okay, and so this is the first posture. Actually, the first posture is point. This is the second posture of Wuchi. The next movement is called preparation. I want you to imagine that you're standing in water. That's about as high as the center of the sternum. And the elbows feel heavy, and imagine your wrists just floating to the surface through the water, shoulder high, shoulder width, okay? Elbows feel heavy, don't lock the elbows. And then the hands float up to the surface, palms facing down. The elbows bend and the wrists slide towards the shoulders and relax. The elbows sink into the water. The wrists sink into the water and the fingertips float up very gently. And then we go back to Wuchi. So that movement is called preparation. The wrists change 5 times. Breathing in as the wrists rise. 1, 2, the palms face the floor. 3, the wrists slide towards the shoulders and relax. 4, the wrists sink, the fingers float up gently, a little bit, and then we're back to the Wuchi position. Okay, so let's do that together again from point. So we're back to the V, our feet are in this position, the heels don't touch. Relax the belly, no tension in the stomach, no tension in the muscles of the buttocks. And begin. Bending the knees and hips, sink into the right foot. Step out with the left foot, toes point straight ahead. Shift into the left, hips line up with the right. Turn to the front, pivoting on the heel. We're in the Wuchi position. And then preparation. Elbows heavy, wrist slide floating to the surface of water. 2, the palms face the floor. 3, the wrist slide towards the shoulders and relax. So the fingers point down a little bit like a puppy begging. And the elbows sink, the wrists sink, the fingers float up. We're back to the Wuchi position. Okay, now we're going to do the transition into ward off left side. So we bend the knees and hips, shift into the left leg, turn to the right, turn the right toes out and hold the ball, the right hand's on top. The top hand across from the center of the sternum, bottom hand about 1.5 inches below the waist, and don't let the elbows collapse. We want a nice open feeling here. Don't turn the toes out too far. So we're going to get into that 70-30 posture. Then the knees and hips sink all the way into the right foot. Step straight out with the left foot. Go ahead and look as you step. Again, you don't want that foot to come in. You want to keep the width. The knee is going to track straight ahead over the toes. So line up with the right foot, shifting the weight, bending the knees and hips. Just get most of your weight into the front leg. Turn your waist to the front, and here's how we change the hands. The bottom hand, the left hand comes up outside the right hand, turns and faces the sternum, and the right hand goes down the center line and back out to the Wuchi position. So this is called ward off left side. Okay, this is the ward off arm protecting the body, hand protects the heart and lungs. Don't let the elbow drop, it's like this. Now from here, bend the knees and hips, drop into the right foot, and the right elbow bends, the right hand comes up. The left hand doesn't move. Now we shift again into that front foot. The right hand comes to the inside of the left. The heels of the hands touch. The angle is slightly away, and this is called press. Not a lot of pressure between the hands. Very light touch here. Now the left palm, which is facing you, turns down towards the floor and up. The hands separate. Fingertips are shoulder high and shoulder width. And we shift down into the right foot, bringing the hands towards the shoulders. That waist movement causes the arms to change. And then we shift down into the front foot, releasing the push. Okay, stay in push. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see the shape of that posture. So I have most of the weight in my front foot. I'm not leaning, right? I've got my body upright, so both hip joints are bent a little bit. And this is like an equilateral triangle, okay? They shift into the rear foot. Bring the left foot back. We're back at point. And we're going to do those together a couple more times. And I just want to stay on top of the time. So we have another 15 minutes. So from point, just relax the breath, relax the body, and relax your mind. Let the tip of your tongue gently touch the roof of your mouth behind the front teeth, and the lips are closed. That way you cannot inadvertently clench or grind your teeth. And begin bending the knees and hips, shifting into the left foot. Step out with the right foot, toes point straight ahead. Shift into the right, hips line up with the left. Turn back to the Wu Chi position. Check your feet in case you didn't get it quite right. It's always important to start from a good beginning. And then preparation with the wrists changing 5 times. 1, breathing in. 2, the palms face the floor. 3, the wrists slide towards the shoulders. Relax like you're moving through water. Very good. Now shift into the left, turn to the right, turn the right toes out, hold the ball. Right hand is on top. All the weight into the right foot. Step straight out. Try to make an empty step with the left. Bend the hips, sink into the center of the left foot. Turn the waist, change the hands. The left hand comes up outside the right, facing the sternum. The right hand goes down the center line and out to Wu Chi. And so this is where we have, I'm going to turn sideways briefly. This is where we have, again, those beautiful ladies' wrists. Okay? And as we release into the right foot, the right hand comes up. As we shift down into the center of the left, the right hand comes to the inside into press. Left hand turns down and up. The hands maintain contact. Hands separate. Shift into the rear foot. Release the push. Okay, we're going to go back to point. I'm going to turn around this time, and we'll work it together once more, and then we'll do the mirror image of all those movements. Okay, so from point. Take the time to settle. Relax the breath, the mind, and the body. Head floating up, feet firmly rooted to the earth. Lower back, relax. A little self-massage, always a nice idea. And begin bending the knees and hips, shift down into the right foot. Step out with the left foot, the toes point straight ahead. Shift down into the left. Let the hips line up with the right foot. Weight's on the left leg. Turn to the front, pivoting on the center of the right heel. Shift to the middle. Rise into the Wu Chi position. Knees not locked. Elbows bent slightly. Fingers straight. Go ahead and check your feet and make sure they're correct. And preparation. Breathing in as the wrists rise to the surface of the water. Fingers pointing down. 2, the palms face the floor. 3, the wrists slide towards the shoulders and relax. 4, the elbows sink in the water, the wrists sink in the water with the fingers floating up. And the 5th time the wrists change, we're back into the Wu Chi position. Okay, ward off left side, bend the knees and hips, shift down into the left foot. Relax the left hip joint. Turn to the right a little bit, turning the right toes out. Hold the ball, right hands on top. All the way down into the right foot. Step straight up with the left foot. The hips stay lined up with the right. Bend the knees and hips, drop into the center of the left foot. First we shift the weight, then we turn the waist, change the hands. The left hand comes up outside the right hand, the left palm facing the chest, the right hand goes back out to the Wu Chi position. This is called ward off left side. Bending the knees and hips, shift into the right foot, the right hand comes up. Shift into the left foot, right hand comes to the inside, left hand turns down and up, the hands separate. Shift the weight into the rear foot. The hands come towards the shoulders. Shift into the left foot and release the push. This posture is called push. Now I'm going to show you how to change sides. We bend the knees and hips, shift into the right foot, and the hands come towards the shoulders. Turn to the left. Waist is the commander. So as you turn to the left, you turn the left toes out because the weight's on the right leg, and you hold the ball. This time the left hand is on top. When you turn to the left hand's on top. Bend the knees and hips again. Think about just releasing into the center of the left foot. Now, step straight with the right foot. And you want to make sure here again that the step is not narrow. Make sure you've got your hip width distance. Go ahead and look. Right toes point straight ahead. Line up with the left foot. Now we're all set up. Shift down into the right foot. Turn to the front. Change the hands. This time the right hand comes up outside the left, palm facing the sternum, and the left arm in Wu Chi. And then sinking into the left foot, the left hand comes up. Shift into the right foot. The left hand comes to the inside of the right into press. Right hand turns down and up. And separate. Shift into the rear foot. The hands come towards the shoulders, releasing the push. All the way into the right foot. Step up with the left so that the feet, we're going to go back to the Wu Chi position. Shift to the middle, feet hip width distance. And as you rise, the elbows just open. And you rise. We're back to the Wu Chi position with the knees not locked. Okay, let's take another short break. Walk around a little bit. Have a sip of water. We have some more time. And again, let me know if you have any questions, especially if anything I ask you to do bothers your hip or knee. Sometimes it's just a small modification that can be made. But, we all have our physical limitations and we don't want to exceed them. Listen to your body. It knows what it can do. Okay, so we're going to do that section again, and this time I'm going to face you and do the mirror image. Okay? Okay. Front point, and taking the time to relax the breath. Just a natural rhythm of breathing. Relax the mind. Allow your attention to be more internal. Don't be thinking about the things you need to do after class or the things you should have done before class. Just try to be fully present in your body. That helps cultivate the meditative qualities of Tai Chi. And begin bending the knees and hips, sinking all the way into the left foot. Step out with the right foot, the toes point straight ahead. Shift the weight, the hips line up. Turn the waist, shift to the middle and into the Wu Chi position. And preparation, breathing in as the wrists rise. The elbows feel heavy, wrists rise to the surface of water. Palms face the floor. Wrists slide towards the shoulders, relax. The wrists sink, fingers float up, back to Wu Chi. Okay, shift into the left, bending the knees and hips. That's what keeps the hips level. Turn to the right, holding the ball, the right hand's on top. Don't turn the left toes out the right toes out too far. All the way into the right foot. Step straight out with the left foot. Bend the knees and hips, sink into the left, turn the waist, change the hands. Okay, the left palm facing the sternum, right arm in Wu Chi. Sinking into the right hand comes up, sinking into the left, right hand comes to the inside into press. Left hand turns down and up, the hands separate, shift the weight, hands towards the shoulders and shift the weight again. Okay, we're going to change sides. So shift into the right, turn to the left, turn the left toes out, hold the ball, the left hand's on top. Head's easing upward, tailbone feels heavy, all the way down into the left foot. Step straight out with the right foot. Go ahead and check your foot. And then bend the knees and hips, sink into the right foot, turn the waist, change the hands. Now, the right arm comes up and the left arm's in Uchi. And shifting into the rear foot, hand comes up, shifting into the front foot again. The right hand comes, left hand comes to the inside. Now the right hand turns down and up, and the hands separate. And shifting the weight is what brings the hands towards the shoulders, and shifting the weight again. Most of the weight in that front leg releases the push. All the way into the right foot. Step up with the left, shift to the middle, and as you rise, don't lock the knees. Now just go back to this Uchi position. Stay in Uchi, adjust your feet if you need to. We're just going to hold Uchi a little bit. Holding Uchi is actually an important part of the Tai Chi practice. And just relax here. And do this with your eyes opened or closed. Think about the belly being relaxed, no tension in the stomach, no tension in the lower back or hips, no tension in the muscles of the buttocks. Tip of the tongue gently touching the roof of the mouth, head easing upward, tailbone feels heavy. Now this first section of the form is called first circle because we can easily end here and go back to point, or we can continue. We are going to end here. So bend the knees and hips, shift into the left foot, turn the right toes out a little bit, all the way down into the right foot, facing front, pick up the left foot, bring it in, and we're back to point. So as we do this, there's a lot of information. Don't worry about remembering things. I'll give you just a couple of things to work on that are just so good for posture and balance, flexibility in the hip joints. Tai Chi just has so many benefits, mind and body. It is a true mind-body exercise. So just to reiterate a little bit those principles that we're working on. So it doesn't matter what movements we're doing, we're trying to cultivate good posture, being relaxed, mind and body relaxed, trying to keep the body upright as we move, moving from the center, from the belly, from here. And the body upright piece, I do have a couple of visual aids that I pull out from time to time. So this might help with the idea of the spine. So if you imagine your spine, these are all the vertebrae, these little beads, and the spine, this idea of the spine floats, and we've got a little weight here, so the tailbone has some weight. And so the spine moves, it floats, and so the body is upright, but not in a rigid way, not in that military upright rigid way, in a relaxed way, so that the upper body is light and the lower body is heavy. I love the image of a tree with that rooted, solid feeling, and then the upper body is light, so it can respond to change. Remember, as a martial art, Tai Chi does not depend on strength, but you have to be centered and relaxed so that you can respond to change. Kind of a little bit of a life philosophy as well. But you can see what happens to the spine, you know, as we move. It's not rigid. Right? These are the first movements. I'm just doing the foot portion, so you can see what I'm talking about. We shift and turn, and the spine moves. Right? Body floats, and then the bridge is shifting. This is just all the foot movement. Right? Change sides. Shift, and then we finish in the Uchi position, and we're back to point. So that's the feeling that we're trying to cultivate as we learn Tai Chi. And then what's really nice about it is you find that how you hold your body and how you move works its way into everyday life. You know, I rake the leaves differently, wash the dishes differently. I have this terrible corner sink and I have to twist and turn to load the dishwasher really hard on the back. I do all that stuff differently, and it just kind of came about naturally as I became more relaxed and was able to move more efficiently. So I think we're just about at the end of the class. And Sheila, is there anything that you want to add?
I just want to first thank you for a great program today. I look forward to the progression that we'll experience. And I encourage everybody to come back next Thursday at 10:30. And if you have family or friends that you think would benefit from this, my mom is on. So that's cool. And she lives in Arizona. So can be anywhere and join us for this. So I think that this will be of great benefit no matter what age you are. And there was a question asked, is it being recorded? Yes, it is, Marilyn. And it will be on our Facebook page or our webpage. I'll email everybody and let you know where it is.
Okay.
Thanks, Shelley.
You're welcome. Is it okay? I'd like to close with just two things, two basic things to do that I think will be really helpful. Like I say, there's a lot of information. The most important thing is, I'd say, with the feet parallel and hip width distance, just practice bending the knees and hips a little bit, keeping the body upright, and practice shifting the weight. And you can do this with your fingertips resting on the surface of the kitchen counter or your bathroom. I found the bathroom is good because there's always a mirror there, and then you can tell if you're leaning. And if you just think about internally shifting, that's going to create nice flexibility in the hips. Remember, we're learning how to move. And that's it. This is great. Thank you all so much. And I look forward to next Thursday.